You want more garage rock, don't you? Well, I want it at least. This is another Murdock Music Minute, and for this review, we are going back to the year 1966, which was the brief moment of fame for a lot of unwashed bands. And for this occasion, I didn't even shave myself. If you ever form a band, don't call it the Amoeba. That's a pretty terrible band name. People in the 60s already sensed that, which is why the Amoeba dissolved in 1965 and left singer Sky Saxon with no choice than to place an ad in the LA Times to find new musicians and hopefully a better band name. He had brought Jan Savage from his former band and recruited Jeremy Levin as rhythm guitarist. Soon after, Daryl Hooper joined as keyboard player and brought drummer Rick Andrich with him into the band. After a bit of rehearsing, this new group began regular gigs in LA clubs. Without a bass player on stage, the band would utilize keyboard bass and develop highly energetic live shows. In the summer of 1965, the band, now calling themselves The Seeds, released their first single, Can't Seem to Make Your Mind. It quickly became a regional hit and was followed by their US Top 40 single, Pushin' Too Hard, in 1966. The band's debut album, produced by Sky Saxon himself, was simply called The Seeds and saw its release in April 1966. Yes, and we kick off that album with that first single, Can't Seem to Make You Mine. Sky Saxon's quite unique character comes to the fore right away. Although the song has a laid-back tempo and a dreamy, bluesy sound, there is Saxon's slightly strangled and nervous singing voice. There is a certain menace or derangedness in his vocal delivery that puts the song beyond the ordinary 60s sound. Other than that, the song is still relatively tame, expressing the longing for a girl who likes to play with and to tease different guys. What is noteworthy is the use of piano and keyboards by Daryl Hooper, an element in the Seeds' music that will feature more prominently on other tracks. No Escape, for example, which is next. It's got a stomping, hopping rhythm and an equally bouncy keyboard accompaniment, not unlike the band's best-known hit, which follows a little later on the record. No Escape showed up for the first time on an EP for the French market in 1965. A song about complete infatuation and a charming, catchy garage tune.
How can I hide these tears inside? What can I do when your love dies? No escape from your heart, no escape from your lips, no escape from your baby, your fingertips.
On Lose Your Mind, written by Sky Saxon, the band moves into a bit of a different direction. This one is clearly inspired by Bo Diddley. It's got that typical accentuated Bo Diddley beat, but also channels the Rolling Stones version of Not Fade Away, including harmonica. A bit of a different style from the Seeds and definitely a fun track. Evil Hoodoo features a truly evil sounding fuzz effect on the bass guitar. It is the grittiest, heaviest track on the album. 5 minutes of psychedelic proto-punk with that stolid bass riff and meandering guitar solos. To my ears, it sounds like a blueprint of Iggy Pop and the Stooges. Really wild stuff and breaking new ground in '66. You must have an evil hoodoo on you, darling. The next one, Girl, I Want You, almost sounds as fuzzy and sleazy as the prior track. Bass and keyboard again are the dominant instruments here. It's in true genre fashion a repetitive and simplistic song that is elevated through Saxon's intense vocal performance and a chaotic crescendo at the end. Equally simplistic, with basically only two chords, but a lot catchier, is the last song on side one, Pushin' Too Hard. Released as a single, it reached number 36 on the US Hot 100. However, the song only started to gain listeners' attention when it got picked up and frequently played by a DJ in Los Angeles, when the song was still called You Are Pushing Too Hard. The track was then re-released as Pushin' Too Hard in 1966 and eventually climbed its way up in the Billboard charts. The track is marked by its stumbling keyboard line and Saxon's insisting vocals. This was a formula that the band kept repeating with slight variations, but Pushin' Too Hard is the genuine article. A real psych garage classic with crispy little solos and a raw, direct adolescent urgency.
You're pushing too hard, or pushing on me. You're pushing too hard at what you want me to be. You're pushing too hard about the things you say. You're pushing too hard every night and day. You're pushing too hard on me.
Side 2 opens with Try to Understand, a plea for love, again with the tinkling keyboard sound of Daryl Hooper, a pleasantly swinging groove plus a little vaguely psychedelic guitar solo turn this into a nice slice of psych pop rock.
What you try to understand, everybody's looking for love. What you try to understand, I'd give you all my love.
Nobody Spoil My Fun is a more cumbersome blues-based garage rock track. As is proper for a garage rock recording, there's a heavy fuzz effect on the bass. Saxon, who grew up in a Mormon family, wants to run away with a little girl so that nobody can spoil their fun. The song follows a classic blues scheme and has another short e-piano solo that already sounds a bit like The Doors. Cut 9 then is the peppier, more swag, It's a Hard Life. Well, it may be, but this is a short, upbeat number, despite lines like It's a hard life when you work from 9 to 5, can't make quite enough to keep your poor self alive. Sky Saxon once more throws himself into the vocals, and Jan Savage provides a slightly deranged guitar solo.
It's a hard, hard life. Hang on for your life. Hang on, baby, try, try, try.
The following, You Can't Be Trusted, is yet another ramshackle two-chord garage rocker that sounds like a pale carbon copy of Pushing Too Hard in places. A decent enough track in its own right, but at this point into the album, we've heard the Seeds do this often enough, and so the song becomes rather a bit of filler. Also, the subsequent Excuse Excuse is a bit of a throwaway for a sleazy 60s club. The Seeds' debut album ends with a little blues jam called Fallen in Love. The keyboards make a final, fine appearance here in a solo, and overall, the band sounds happily relaxed. With different lyrics, this could even be something off of Dylan's Highway 61 Revisited or Blonde on Blonde. So, nothing overly remarkable, but a nice little closer. The album itself wasn't the biggest seller. It reached number 132 in the United States, but over time it became an underground or counterculture icon. And if you were wondering about the lyrics count in this video, that's how many times Sky Saxon used the phrase night and day on this album. The Seeds' musical range was limited, and that also had an impact on the album, which becomes noticeably weaker and repeats itself in the final third. Personally, I quite like a couple of tracks on here, but it's not an album that keeps my attention all the way through. And yet, the sheer rudimentariness of it, coupled with Saxon's sometimes mean and often extroverted vocals, have something special about them. This doubtlessly deserves to be regarded important proto-punk. 60s fans should hear this at least once. For more casual listeners, one or two of the better known songs are probably enough. To enjoy every moment on this album, one needs to have a special interest in garage rock, in my opinion. But the Seeds had all the right to have their 15 minutes of fame. At least they had one good song. Nowadays, everybody can have their 5 minutes in the public spotlight only by talking nonsense on YouTube, for example. Thanks for watching. I must be going.